Hi, good morning. It's the 10th of April, Saturday the 10th of April 2021. And I just want to mention, first of all, before I go any further, and it's totally irrelevant really to my journey, but the Duke of Edinburgh died yesterday, and that is such a milestone for somebody of my age group, because we've grown up for like 50, 60 years with the Queen as the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh as the Duke of Edinburgh and the rest of the gang, but he's always been my favourite. I like the way he was quite outspoken. I like outspoken people. I like people who say what they're thinking rather than put a smile on their face and their eyes are showing you they're thinking something entirely different. I always remember once at church being in a prayer meeting and I stubbed my foot on the leg of the chair as I was walking in, and I said, "Oh, sugar." And the lady next to me, who was a very proper lady, headmistress, said to me, "If you're thinking shit, say shit, not sugar. It showed in your face." And that's one of the things I'll always respect about the Duke of Edinburgh. He wasn't afraid to say what he believed and say what he was thinking, and I really did like the guy. Anyway, I'm not wearing black today for the Duke of Edinburgh. I'm wearing black today because I'm still in that frame of mind where I'm feeling too big for my body. I'm not comfortable in my own skin yet, but I'm working on it. I did start a new chapter, I did turn a new page, and again this week I lost £2. So it's a win-win, albeit that I didn't work the plan 100%. I'm still not totally willing to commit to putting the effort in, and I think that's the key for me. It's about effort. I've realised since I really fell away from working it properly what effort I have to put in to doing it right. It means a lot of cooking, it means a lot of prep, it means a lot of washing up, clearing up, tidying up in the kitchen. Actually, the kitchen's probably my favourite room in the house. I like to be in the kitchen. I like to wash the pots and put it all straight and wipe the sides down and clean the top of my cooker and that. I don't have any problem with that. But sometimes when I'm feeling short of time and I'm feeling pretty knackered, I don't want to be doing those things. It's easier to reach and eat something else. Now, I did intend to put a video up yesterday, so my apologies, because I want to try and get a video up every Friday if I can. But yesterday we just totally ran out of time. We had a lot to do yesterday because my friend, who was in accident and emergency last Friday when I was vlogging, actually came out of hospital late on Thursday and needed some help yesterday. So Joe went off to do that while I waited in for a delivery. And then it was a case of when I was available yesterday, Joe wasn't. And when Joe was available, I wasn't. We just didn't kind of click yesterday. We both had a lot to do. So I thought the better plan, rather than vlogging at 9 o'clock last night when I looked like a wreck, felt like a wreck and was ready for my bed, was to leave it until this morning when I actually had the energy and the enthusiasm to come on and say something that probably made sense, not necessarily. So, we've said it's Saturday the 10th of April. I was just thinking, in 3 weeks' time I've been at Slimming World for 6 years. It doesn't feel very long since I was standing here saying to you, gosh, it's coming up to my 5th anniversary at Slimming World. And what's changed at Slimming World? Very little, apart from we can't get together and have our group meetings. They've done their best to keep going on Zoom. Didn't make the Zoom meeting yesterday because I had another commitment. The only thing that's really changed is the subs have gone up £1. But we can't complain about that, because what do you get for £5.95 these days? Not a lot. Anyway, right, here I am. So one of the things I've observed about myself this week that I thought was interesting was the fact that I'm doing a lot more sitting rather than standing. And again, I think it's weight related. When I'm light and I'm feeling light and I'm feeling lean and I'm feeling like, 9 stone or just under is my ideal place to be. But when I'm in that place, I want to be on my feet, I want to be doing, I have a standing desk, I don't sit down to type and things like that. This week I've sat down with a remote keyboard on my lap, typing. I've been leaning on things. One of Joe's pet hates is when, excuse me, my sleeves are a bit long. One of Joe's pet hates is when you go to the supermarket and you see some overweight person doing this, leaning on their trolley. Do you know, when I was big, I used to do that. I used to go around the supermarket with my husband and I literally leaned, because I'm not very tall, so to lean on the handle of a trolley is like that for me. But Joe says, you see so much of it, Mum. He said, people just don't have the energy to it's true, isn't it, Joe?
Yeah.
People just don't have the energy to actually hold onto their trolley and push it. They lean on it. And I found myself this week like leaning on the sink, like, you know, when I've been folding washing on the countertop, leaning on, and I'm just like, Jane, what are you doing? And it's obviously just that stone difference makes that like behaviour difference for me. I'm not bouncing up the hills. Yesterday I practically got dragged up them. I've not got the energy I should have, and I know it's because I'm carrying an extra stone. And I was thinking, if you put a backpack on and you put in it like 16, how many pounds in a stone? 14. 14 tins of chopped tomatoes, and then you went on your usual walk up the hills, you'd notice the difference. And I am still feeling like that. I'm feeling like I'm carrying an excess, but I'm working on it. I can't do any more than that. And to be perfectly frank, if I lost £0.5 a week for the next 28 weeks to get back to where I'd really like to be, I'd be perfectly happy. I just don't really want to keep going up. But, you know, life throws a lot of stuff at people, and you deal with it in the best way you can. Somebody asked in my comments, you know, could I share some of my other coping strategies? When I'm going to be perfectly honest and tell you, when life gets too much for me, my only coping strategy is to overeat. The rest of them go out the window along with Slimming World, hand in hand with Slimming World. I forget all the other things. I forget the meditation. I forget the mindfulness, which I don't know that I'm that good at anyway, because if I've got to focus on being mindful, is that being mindful? I don't know. I forget all that. I forget the crochet. Mind you, my wrist's been too bad to crochet. I forget all those things, and I just eat. So we've put one or two things in place, haven't we, Joe? We still do our daily exercise, and Joe's got his music. But it's finding the time and making the effort to do those things. And it's, for me, the key is prioritising. I've got to put me somewhere up near the top of the list, because I've been caring for several people for the last, 3-4 months. And actually putting them ahead of me all the time. But if I don't look after myself, I'm not going to be well enough to look after them. And that's not just physically, that's emotionally and spiritually. So I'm trying harder, I am trying harder, and I am keeping up the walking, which I absolutely love. On a day like today when it's cold and it's sunny, it's grand to go for a walk. Yesterday morning when it was peeing it down with rain, it was grand to go for a walk. That's what I have to tell myself. It's no good sitting indoors and waiting for it to stop raining. I need to just put a waterproof on and get out there, which is what I do. So yeah, that's been the week. I mean, we've been really, really busy. But gosh, I think I'd moan if I had nothing to do, wouldn't I? I'd be sitting here saying I'm bored, standing here saying I'm bored. And I don't want to be bored. I like to be busy. And I'm fortunate enough to have the energy and the enthusiasm to help other people, and the willingness to help other people, and I get joy from helping other people. So that's good. A couple of weeks ago, Joe was in Asda doing somebody's shopping, and he observed, I don't know what you were buying at the time, Joe, but you saw a group of girls, didn't you? Mm-hmm. Like 15, 16-year-olds, 17 probably. How many were there? Prox?
3 or 4.
3 or 4 girls. And they were standing comparing the proteins, or the amount of protein in cereal bars. And it caught Joe's ear, because he was probably looking at something on the Slimming World app to get something for me. And when he came home, he said, it's interesting that everybody is so focused on protein, but to hear a group of girls talking about, oh no, don't buy that one, buy this one, because it's got so much more protein in, and protein's good for you, and all this lot. And we were talking about it, and we were saying, but they're the age group that would be influenced by social media, probably. Or maybe they're learning about such stuff at school in health, the health education stuff. But we let it go at that. Well, 2 days ago, Joe was in the co-op getting some shopping for somebody, and he observed a group of little lads. Now, how many of them were there? About
5 or 6.
5 or 6. And we would have said they were year 6ers, so 10, maybe 11, coming up 11. And they were actually standing there as a group comparing the calories in chocolate bars. That makes me sad. Why does a 10-year-old boy, or a girl for that matter, but boys in particular, why does a 10-year-old boy, I only know about boys, I've only got a son, why does a 10-year-old boy need to know how many calories there are in a chocolate bar? I find that upsetting, because it's too young to have those kind of worries. A little lad, as I call them at that age, should be able to eat a chocolate bar and then run, cycle, jump, do whatever, skateboard, rollerblade, whatever kids do, and not worry about how many calories went in and how many calories are going out. I just think, what sort of world are we living in? Is it because mums are obsessed by such things? I know over the years I made a lot of mistakes with Joe, because all I ever talked about when it came to food was what I could eat and what I couldn't eat. And you don't realise when your kids are growing up, I mean from a very young age, you know, we used to eat out a lot with our in-laws, and we used to go to some really posh restaurants. But everybody would be sitting there, you know, enjoying this really, like, you know, Michelin food and everything, and I'd be, oh no, I can't have that, it's too fattening, can't have that, it's too fattening, I'll have a salad, can't have that, no, I don't want a bread roll with my soup, no, I can't have a, no, I don't want a dessert, can't possibly have a dessert. And I never realised, drip, 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 what I was showing him about having a relationship with food. And it struck me.
We can't just pretend it's only when we were going out for meals either, because like at home it was either red or green plan, or it was Weight Watchers, or it was whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you were restricted on the food you could eat at home as well. It wasn't just when you were eating out.
Lipotrim. Well, I did Lipotrim for 9 months when you were 15. I didn't eat for 9 months, even though I cooked your dinner.
But I've still got memories from being pushed around in a pushchair going to Slimming World groups.
What does it say? Hey, some ways it is funny, and other ways it's upsetting. Because I did literally from.
I remember the one at the community centre down the road. I remember the one near Mark's.
Oh, the pub where Mark's is now, the Manor Inn or something. It's where they knocked it down and built Marks and Spencer's. In fact, we bumped into a lady, Shirley, do you remember, a couple of weeks ago? When you were in the post office, I was waiting outside, and this lady came up to me and she was talking about Slimming World, and she's quit again and blah, blah, blah. Lovely lady. And then Joe came out and she was like, gosh, I've not seen you since you were this big at a Slimming World meeting. And yeah, he did. He used to bring something along to play with and just sit in the background. And you don't realise we are drip, drip, drip feeding our kids unhealthy habits. It's embarrassing in a way, isn't it? If you do that to a lad, it's one thing. But I think maybe it was done to me as well. Thinking back to my childhood, my mum was always on a diet. My mum only ate energy rolls and not bread. My mum used to make this weird concoction with bananas, orange juice and raw egg for her breakfast, because it was high protein. I mean, I'm talking 55 plus years ago. It's not a new thing, is it? But it's made me think. I mean, Joe's 27 now. The seed's sown, I've done the damage. I've taught him bad habits and things like that. But if anybody young is watching this and you've got small children, be careful what you say in front of them, please. Because you might end up with a 10-year-old kid standing with their mates in the co-op comparing calories on chocolate bars, when really they should just be buying a chocolate bar, eating a chocolate bar, jumping on their bikes and pedalling it off without even thinking about it. So, yeah, I think that touched a nerve with me, and it must have touched a nerve with Joe for him to share what he'd seen in the co-op and what he'd seen in Asda. So really, that's all I've got this week. I'm booked up all day today. I'm standing here ready to go walking. I shall just zip up my fleece. I've got my shoes on ready. I'll zip up my fleece and be out that door as soon as Joe's bunged this SD card into his computer. And while it's uploading, we'll be halfway up a hill. So it's what time, Joe, approximately?
10 to 10.
It's 10 to 10. So we'll be out for about an hour and 3/4, and then we can come back and get on with our other jobs. So yeah, I'm sorry I'm a day late, but I am still here. I am still trying. I am still willing. I am still teachable, thank God. And we'll see you next week. Cheers. Have a good week, everybody, and stay safe.